Hello, this is Amy from Rain Studios, and today I am going to do another chainmail tutorial. This one is for Celtic Visions, this beautiful weave right here. It uses two different size jump rings. I would classify this as an intermediate weave. And this is the base weave that you also need to know if you want to do a Celtic Visions Star, like this right here. This is a 6-pointed star, which I actually tend to think of it as a snowflake rather than a star. Here's a 5-pointed star. And these both use the same size rings with just one additional size smaller here for the little tips. Little tippy points. And you can even modify this. I use some smaller rings to make a 4-pointed star that's on a smaller scale than the other ones. Alright, so let's get right to it, shall we? Okay, so we start with two different size jump rings. Our big ring is 16 gauge, 6 millimeters ID, inner diameter. Our small rings is 18 gauge, 4.0 millimeter ID. I'm probably just going to call it the big rings and the small rings. Okay, so let's get started. We start with our big ring, our 16 gauge ring, and I'm going to pop two of these guys, two of the small rings onto that small ring, and then close it up. Generally you do 3 of the small rings, but since this is on the end, I only do 2. So now we're going to do 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 small rings on our open 16 gauge ring, and then I'm going to take my 16 gauge ring and have it go through just one of the 18 gauge rings on my first big ring. And then I'm going to close that baby up. Okay. It's hard to close on camera, sorry. Okay. And then we do the same thing again. Going to put 3 rings on. And here's my 2 big rings, and I want this new ring to go on the ring that's right on the end. I don't want to go through this one, I want to go through the one on the end, so that I have 2 dangly rings on the bottom. Okay, like that. Alright, so that's all I'm going to do right now, but you would make this section much longer. You could keep going with this chain at this point, as long as you wanted your bracelet. I like to do, like a 4 or 5 ring section and then finish it and then keep going, because I'm impatient and I get bored easily. So I like to see progress before I, make a huge long thing. Okay, I am going to put a little twist tie on the end of my chain, just so that way I know this ring was the end and I won't get confused later. Always a nice thing to do. Okay, next I'm going to take, let me get my little tool here, little pointy tool. I'm going to take another big ring and I'm going to put it through this ring and this ring. So this big ring is going to go right through here and here, just like that. Okay, let's hold it up higher and actually do it so you can see what I'm talking about. I've got my big ring, and I am going to go through, I don't want to go through both of these rings, I just want to go through the one that's closest to this ring. I'm going to go through that ring and that ring. So it's like that. I'm making a little triangle, kind of, and I'm going to close. And then the next step is I need to double this ring. Okay. So I'm just going to hold this ring. Since I'm doubling it, instead of putting it down and having to find my place again, I'm just holding onto that ring and I'm turning it so I can see the rings that it's going through. And I'm just going to pop this ring right through those same rings. Those 2 guys. And I'm making sure that it's not going through any other ring. And then I'm closing. Okay, So if I grab my twist tie and I grab the end of the chain, I've made a little triangle. That's what we want, okay? And now we're going to do the same thing with the next two rings. So I put two big rings here dangling down in between these two on top. These two single rings on top. Now I'm going to do another two big rings dangling down from the same two small rings. This ring and also just one of that ring, okay? Let's go see if I can do it. Bark and bark. Okay, see how I got that through both of those rings? None other rings, nobody else gets to go through. Okay, and I'm closing. Close, and now I'm going to double again. I'm just going straight through those two rings that this ring is going through. If I keep a hold of it, I don't have to like find my place again. There we go. See that? And close. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This is looking good. Let me zoom in, try my zoom feature on my camera. Okay, so here I just want to make sure this is really clear. Here's my single big rings here. And if you remember the first ring, we put on two small rings, and that's this one and this one. And then we popped the next big ring on and we added three small rings. That one, no, that's on this one, and this one. Those were the three rings that we added on. And then on the last ring, you can see the three rings here, here, and here. This ring is going to attach to another big ring, just like these other ones did. And then this ring here will attach to two big rings down below. All right, so this little triangle pattern is what we want throughout. And so once you get two doubled rings below, you can actually finish a section. Okay, and I will show you how to do that now. So we are going to make a little jump ring sandwich. Please excuse my weird ways of thinking about this, but I think that it helps to think of it as a sandwich. Okay, so we're going to take this bottom ring on top and we're going to fold it up like this, just like that. And we're going to take the one and fold it up in the back, just like that. Okay, and that's our little jump ring sandwich. Let me do it again. Here's our two rings. The top one folds up like this. The back one folds back like that. And that's how we're going to make that. Now we need to lock this down so that when I drop it, it doesn't just fall. Okay, top one comes up, bottom one goes back. And I also want to make sure that this middle ring here doesn't get like stuck. You know, sometimes it'll flip, and when you push this top ring down, that's not right. That's not right. It needs to be in the middle there, okay? All right, so now I'm going to keep a hold of this little sandwich, and I'm going to pick up my small ring, and I'm putting my pliers right on the tip of that ring so I've got lots of space to work through. So what I'm doing is this ring, the small ring, is going to go right into this little triangle right here. Boop, right there. And it's going to go through all three of these rings. When I teach this in a class, I say this is a jump ring sandwich, and this top ring is the bread, this bottom ring is the bread, and this is the ham that's sliding out of the sandwich. Okay, but we still have to go through all three layers. 1, 2, and 3, just like that. Okay, and also we cannot go through this middle ring that you can see if I lay it flat here like this. Okay, so let's do it. Getting my small ring. Here's my jump ring sandwich. I like to look at it from the top, and I go through 1, 2, 3 rings. Okay, did you see how that went? Let me do it again. I go through 1, 2, 3 rings. So I'm through all 3 of those layers, and I've put the ring right through that little triangle spot. And now I close. This is a little tricky. I gotta do it off camera. Oh no, I closed it. Okay. So there we go. Now it's locked down. Now it's locked down, and it's not gonna, those rings aren't gonna fall down anywhere. And as you can see, let me zoom out again. Zoom out. It's starting to look quite a bit like our finished bracelet. You can see that this section is almost done. Now if you look closely, you can see what is missing. So I have a little visual aid. I like to say that we are making an H. Okay, let's look at our finished bracelet here. Let's look at one of these sections. If you look at it like this, these naturally sort of, these rings here, they'll tilt toward each other, which is normal and good and right and all is fine with the universe. But if we were to like just pull them apart a little or just use a little, you know, imagination, we can see that this is making an H. Like wah, 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 H. Here's the top. Here are the top 2 arms of our H. Here are the legs of our H. And here's the middle part of our H. So I have a visual aid. This is one of the images in the tutorial I hand out in class. And so you have to check and make sure you have each of these parts of the H. So if we look at our little section here, is it focused? Okay. You can see that we've got our 2 bottom legs of the H, we've got the middle part of the H, but we only have one of the arms. So we've got to make the other part of our arm, and it's going to go, the other arm of our H, and it's going to go right through there, okay? And again, it's going to go through all 3 layers of our little jump ring sandwich. Bread, ham, bread. 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to get my little ring. I'm going to get up close here so you can see. And I like to just go 1, 2, 3. A little pressure here to get it through all 3. And there it has gone through all 3. And one thing to also take note of, sometimes if you go down too far when you're going through your sandwich, see this middle ring there and there, it's not too far down there, and see I've kind of pushed it up with my fingers, and you don't really want to do that because this ring cannot go down underneath it. It can go, and it can be easy to do, like if you accidentally go down too far, I can't even do it. Sometimes, I did do it. Okay, so it looks like it's not quite through the middle ring, but if something feels right, see I've got it going through that middle H of the ring there. Can you see? Anyway, my point is be careful about that middle ring. Some things that I've seen in class is a ring will get caught through the middle ring. So here we go. Let's go through all 3 layers of our sandwich. 1, almost. 1, 2, and 3. And now we close. I'm going to do it off camera, sorry. Okay, it's closed. And now when we look at both sides. No rings are coming down and making that middle ring go weird. And we have all the different legs and arms of our H. Here are the top parts of our H, the bottom parts of our H, and the middle part of our H. And nothing is going anywhere weird. And it looks like it's supposed to look. Ooh, pretty. Okay, so that's how you do the Celtic Visions. Let's do one more so we have practice. I'm going to pick up my ring. And again, this little ring can be a little finicky to get through all those layers, so I try to position my pliers right on the tip so I've got lots of little working room to get in there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, if I can find the zoom. Okay, so I'm all zoomed in. Here's our little ring. Here's our two dangly rings. The top one folds up like that. The Bottom one folds down, back behind, like that. I'm making sure that middle part of my H is nice and good, nothing's catching it and making it do any weird stuff. I look at the top and I go through 1, 2, 3 layers of my jump ring sandwich, and I close. Okay, there's the second half, our second segment. It's almost done. Now you can see that we still need one arm to our H. Get my ring ready and look at it from the top. Or, you know, if you want, if that doesn't work for you, there's lots of different ways. I like to look at it from the top, but you could look at it straight on and just make sure you see this spot where it's supposed to go through right there, okay? Through all 3 of these rings, these 2 here and also that one. Let me try to do it that way. I will grow as a learner and a teacher. Okay, so see, that worked. I went in from the front. I went through all 3 layers, and I went right in there, that spot. Okay, and now I close. Okay, there we go. And that, my friends, is that. So this is how you make Celtic Visions. I'm going to zoom back out. If I wanted to make a full-length bracelet, I would just repeat these steps. I would add my big ring with some small rings added on there and continue as long as I wanted until I made a beautiful bracelet. And that is all. I do have kits for this bracelet. I have them in sterling silver, gold fill, silver fill, which is an affordable sterling silver alternative. It's got a layer of sterling on the outside, and copper and new gold brass. You can buy my kits or see my other kits or other jump ring supplies at rainstudios-supplies.com. Let me know what you think. And I'm so excited. I have a new rig and my camera is nice and steady. I hope that helped. I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!